Shalom. Call halal Yahweh by Shema Bashai by Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders. Salutations to all my fellow laborers doing this work in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. To the scattered elect that are scattered around the four corners of the earth that be like unto the speckled bird, the Israelite foreigners, and to the Akwath that are listening and learning, to you I say Shalom and Shabbat Shalom. This is your brother Malcolm from the branch of the Great Millstone here in Chicago, coming at you with another lesson in truth. And not sure what the title is. I'm sure the Spirit will give it to me by the time I'm done with the video. But as you can see, I'm looking at the Silver Reports, Silver Report Uncuts channel, and it says job cuts at U.S. Shell have already begun. Right, job cuts have already begun for U.S. Shell. Texas has already lost 60,000 jobs, mergers, and layoffs. And that's continuing to happen across the board on almost every level, every sort of business, every type of business. And what's happening is that the word of the Lord is going forth. And in the midst of that storm that is the word, which is the truth, prophecies are coming to pass. This is Isaiah 55 and starting at verse 9. Read 9 through 11, and it reads, "For as heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts." And see, people have their own thoughts and their opinions, and that's going to lead you to your destruction. All right. In both men and women of Israel, because the heathens doesn't matter. They have no salvation in this thing anyway. This is all about Israel, all about the elect, right? And you got many Israelites that want to lean into their own understanding and want to make it what it is. They don't want to play the role and that they've been put in, and they don't want to obey basically when it comes down to it, they have aught with the Most High. And if you have that sort of spirit, it's simply because the Lord doesn't want you, and that's pretty scary, and it's sad and it's scary. Verse 10, "For as the rain cometh down and the snow from heaven, and returneth not thither, but watereth the earth, and maketh it bring forth a bud, that it may give seed to the sower and bread to the eater." So once the Lord sends something forth, it's not gonna go away. All right, I'm actually growing an apple tree in my front room. I prayed over apple seed and planted it just to see what would happen. And Lord behold, the thing started growing. The leaves die off of it. It's real fragile. And it's crazy because it's growing next to all these plants, but it's an actual tree. And all the leaves fell off of it. And I figured out its pattern now. All right, the thing is almost 2 feet tall already, and the leaves are already growing on it. You know, and now I know we're not gonna be long. I don't want to be here long enough for that tree to grow. But it's been an interesting thing to watch it go through its stages and how it's actually growing. Because I'm eventually have to repot it and do something with it, because it's starting to really sprout up all of a sudden. But it just goes to show you, man, the Lord has planted his seed, which is the word, and it's going to go forth no matter what. All right? Because with the Lord, anything's possible, because apples aren't even really supposed to grow in this climate. Not that sort of apple tree, but it's growing. All right? Verse 11, "So shall my word be that goeth forth out of my mouth. It shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper. It shall prosper in the thing whereunto I sent it." And so now the vibration of the men of the Lord being on the highways and byways and pushing forth this word, the vibration of the earth in the earth now is the vibration of Yahweh Bashem Shai. Because see, Esau's tongue compasseth the earth. His vibration has been walking through the earth, and now the truth is walking through the earth. And the truth, like it said in the first scripture I read, I'll read it again. "As for the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways." See, so the ways of the Lord is higher than man's, and man is losing this fight, man. Let's go to Isaiah 54:17. And as a result of that, they're plotting and planning to come against the men of the Lord. All right. And Isaiah 54:17, no weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise against thee in judgment thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of Yahweh, and their righteousness is of me, saith Yahweh. So we have a mighty power that's greater than anything and everything that could be imagined, man. And he's going to stand up and fight for us. Eventually, things are really getting bad. I just watched a video. One of the brothers in Texas did a video called something to the effect that the storm is coming, or the eye of the storm. And he broke down what the eye of the storm is. And, the eye of the storm is the part of the storm where nothing's happening. You're sitting right in the middle of it. But as soon as that eye passes over you, the worst part of the storm hits you. And so when you think about it, this whole COVID thing, the portion that you just went through was the beginning part of the storm. All right. These last couple months, everything opened up a little bit, and to show you that its opening really didn't help it much. Look how many businesses collapsed still during the opening. Like I've often told this story, man. I sat inside of the Regal Theater, all right, on Western. And if you're from Chicago, you know what that is. I sat inside of the Regal and Western over near over there. I don't even know what they call it anymore. It used to be Humboldt Park, full of Ephraimites, but now I don't even know what they call it anymore. But I was sitting right there inside of there, and I watched the movie Peninsula in the IMAX theater all by my lonesome. I sat in the middle of the theater, all right? I think I went and saw like a 2 o'clock or a 2:30 showing because I was done with my clients, and I had a big gap between the time that I had to teach class. So I went to the movies, and I went and watched that movie all by myself in the damn IMAX theater, man. Surround sound, felt like a king, man. Sat right in the middle, in the center, in the middle of the theater, and watched it by myself. And all I could think to myself is how much I enjoyed that. But I'm like, this place is finished. And shortly after that, everything started just falling apart. So that was that was in the heart of the eye of the storm. And now, as the eye is passing, we're getting ready to hit the worst part of the storm. And when that's coming with these elections and all the shutdowns and all the second wave, which is all a lie. But they're pushing it anyway. Because, like I said, he loves to use threats and situations. He loves to use an invisible threat and an invisible enemy that can't be fact checked. This is how they operate. Oh, the threat of this, such and such and such, and this is the response. But they can't fact check to prove it. So you just have to go off the word of a government that is clearly proven to its own citizens and to the world that it lies to people all the time. And yet the people still believe, or too many believe, because a lot of people don't believe anymore. And that's the the true definition of insanity. To keep doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. To keep believing habitual criminal liars in your government that work for their own belly and not for the people over and over again. And the people just keep getting screwed over and again. All right, this is Jeremiah. Let's go to the book of Jeremiah 49, and we're going to read verses 7 through 10. And it reads, concerning Edom, thus saith Yahweh of hosts, is wisdom no more in Teman? Its counsel perished from the prudent? Is their wisdom vanished? Flee ye back. Dwell deep, O inhabitants of Dedan, for I will bring the calamity of Esau upon him, and the time that I will visit him. And if grape gatherers come to thee, would thou not leave some gleaning grapes? If thieves by night, they will destroy till they have enough. But I have made Esau bare. I have uncovered his secret places, and he shall not be able to hide himself. His seed is spoiled, and his brethren and his neighbor, and he is not. So Esau has basically been exposed. No one trusts these people anymore. The world is looking at Edom as the problem. Collectively, they really are. And Edom is not talking about that in a lot of instances, but many of them are. You have to remember, Edom controls the flow of information, so they can cover up the stories, but they're getting a lot of pushback, and a lot of people don't believe them. And I can only imagine you got a lot of, these people, these robots that join the military and law enforcement, but I got a feeling that a lot of them are going to also rebel and join a resistance against the powers that be. These great insurrections are coming, man. All right. Wasn't that in France about a year and a half, maybe almost 2 years ago, when the police all started taking off their badges and putting on the yellow vests and joining the people? And so you think that that's not going to happen here? Because you're going to have a lot of you're going to have a lot of patriots among the police and military that don't agree with what the government is doing to the people and to the Constitution and to the people. So the division in this place is greater than it ever has been. It's great, and it's going to show itself, man. And then they try, to peacefully or with the illusion of peace, show how they care about the people in the world. At the meantime, they're destroying the people in the world. This is Daniel 8:25, and it reads, "And through his policy also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace shall destroy many. He shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand." So the Lord is going to break Esau and leave him with no power whatsoever, right as he is about to fill his belly. All right? There's no way out of what's going, man, or what's happening. Let's go back to Jeremiah 49, and I'm going to play a little bit of this video. 49 and 12. And it reads, "But thus saith Yahweh, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have assuredly drunken. And art thou he that shall altogether go unpunished? Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink of it." So that same cup of wrath and punishment and that we had to drink, and that we're still going to drink, because it's not over for, because Jacob's trouble is just getting started. But when it's all said and done, Esau's going to have to drink that cup, and his cup is going to be 1,000 times worse than ours. Thus saith the Lord. So the slavery and the punishment so you think about all the heinous crimes and all the hidden history that has been revealed. Think of the Thistlewood, slave owners in the islands, tying slaves in a prone position, face up, and having other slaves shit in their mouths. The burning, the mass raping, the buck breaking, the whipping, the breaking of bones and then letting them heal in the wrong direction to make people look like freaks of nature, and then putting them in museums and having Edomites come to enjoy them. The separation of families. Esau has to go through all that. Thus saith the Lord. His ways are higher than our ways. And you got these people that, well, that's not right. According to who? According to you? The Lord said it. See, everybody's a Christian until the scriptures come out. All right. Jeremiah 49:13. "For I have sworn by myself, saith Yahweh, that Basra, which is a chief city in Edom," all right. Who's a chief city in Edom? Well, where Amalek dwells. And we know where the heart of Amalek, where they are. All right. Those bastards in Ashdod. "Shall become a desolation, a reproach, a waste, and a curse. And all cities thereof shall be a perpetual waste." So like it said, Edom is the border of destruction, a border of wickedness. And wherever they are, the Lord is going to visit them. There's no hiding. Your billion-dollar bunkers are not going to save you. Actually, they're going to preserve you so that you could be the first fruits of slavery, so that you can drink of the cup. You spent billions to preserve yourself so that you could become the first slaves. That's what it is. And I know you hate me, but I hate you twice as much. All right? Because chaos, disorder moves forward in Babylon. Separation, voter fraud, accusations, pedophilia, allegations, the Pentagon, the White House, Hollywood. Virus is all a distraction. The party is over. It's over.
This is Mongolia, and we are Nada.
Damn commercial. Salakia.
The only company in the world who's created a premium 100% cashmere sweat.
Hey guys, welcome to the Silver Report Uncut. So I wanted to talk about what's going on in the U.S. shale industry. Now, this particular segment of our economy has been battered throughout this crisis. And I know there's a lot of focus now on what the future might be for U.S. shale or the oil industry. However, the job losses there have already begun before any of that discussion took place. Now, we said early on in this crisis that it was going to be a lot of mergers, acquisitions. We were going to see a lot of companies begin to join together, banding together in order to survive. Now, this is something I believe will really begin to see manifest itself in the brick and mortar retailers. I mean, we're already seeing things change a little bit when we have the landlords purchasing these retailers, because when you look out at the landscape and the amount of people that are determined to do online shopping for Christmas, this is going to be a very, very dark year for brick and mortar retail and store closures.
Hey, and I just heard that the world famous Macy's downtown Chicago, which used to be a Marshall Fields, it's closing. It's closing. Famous for its it was famous for its window displays. Basically, it was the equivalent in Chicago of the gigantic Macy's that sits down there on Broadway, you know, in New York City, right across from where the elders used to teach. You know, that like one of the most that was a very famous. You know, all the parades go by there, and that was the equivalent of that store, the version in here in Chicago. You know, that structure was one of the structures that survived the Chicago fire. And that's how old it is. And it's a very well-built building. Beautiful place. It's not, you know, but it's over. It's over.
To the oil industry, they're saying that the recent frenzy of mergers and acquisitions was inevitable. We know demand was down significantly, oil prices even fell negative, and smaller oil firms with manageable debt, they're trying to survive this downturn. Now, we do know there's a ton of big players that have a lot of debt that have shuttered their operations temporarily, and all this was because of the demand shock. And this represents a radical transformation for the oil industry. This is a segment of our economy that operated by expansion, by drill, baby drill. The only way to justify all that massive debt was production or future production. But when you have oil demand drop so significantly, drill baby drill doesn't seem to work anymore, especially when you have so much of a surplus. Now, early on in this crisis, we do know that the seas turned into a literal parking lot for oil tankers. Very large crude carriers were literally clogging up the world's busiest shipping ports. Now, this is something that typically happens during recessions. It's something we really saw happen during 2008. Heading into that recession, there was a ton more companies in the U.S. than we had coming out, and it seemed like a lot of mega mergers and acquisitions and companies were just gobbling up all of those weak players. So you have these small oil drillers that are just trying to survive, and they're looking out and they can't make enough profit. They're not getting enough income right now. And then you have the big players that are looking for a deal, looking for a discount, and trying to expand. Now, what is it they say? Cash is king, especially in the modern day world of ultra low liquidity. Now, unfortunately, all of these mergers and acquisitions, they're leading to a ton of job losses for the U.S. oil industry.
And there it is. So, and that's not only the only industry, and it's going to have a trickle down effect. It's going to affect every asset, every facet of life, man. So, let's finish one more scripture. Actually, we're gonna finish in that Jeremiah 49th chapter. We're gonna read verses, start at verse 14. I have heard a rumor from Yahweh, an ambassador is sent unto the heathen, saying, gather ye together and come against her and rise up for battle. So so the end result of this is all the heathen are gonna come against America. That's going to be the end result, against Babylon the Great, because they're all going to blame America for their problems. All right. For lo, I will make thee small among the heathen and despised among men. So that's actually talking about Amalek. You know, in the midst of all this election stuff, the Amalekites went over there and bulldozed some villages and left a whole bunch of people homeless who have no place to live now that the winter months are setting in. All right. And, you know, I had an Edomite tell me yesterday that he's never been a supporter of that place or those people, and that's not even their land. I was in shock when he said it. He said they're not even the people and that's not even their land. And how he's always getting into arguments with them, and that his wife is actually becoming one. And so we'll see how that works. She's basically, what I mean by that is she's converting to that religion. Thy terribleness have deceived thee, and the pride of thy heart, O thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, and holdest the height of the hill, and that's Esau, Edom. All right, the cleft of the rock. All these high-rise buildings. When you come into Chicago, especially coming in off Ogden, and the rolling road, the hills, it's like you're riding into a mountainous road, man. And those apartment buildings, you can clearly see they look like mountain ranges. And the apartments and the condos, all in those high-rise buildings, in those rolling road, when you're coming in that hilly road, because it goes up and down, you could clearly see from a distance how that's mimicking mountains. And the apartments and the condos are the caves. They're the holes in the rock. All right. When you look at the skyline, that's what you're looking at. All right. Thy tyrannous have deceived thee, and thy pride and the pride of thy heart, O that dwellest in the clefts of the rock, that holdest the height of the hill. Thou that makest thy nest as high as the eagle, I will bring thee down from thence, saith Yahweh. So whose animal symbol is the eagle? The eagle is an evil, hateful bird, man. And it's a prideful bird. It flies above all the other eagles. And guess what? Every society that Edom has ruled, they bear the eagle as a standard. All throughout history and currently. Also Edom shall be a desolation. Every one that goeth by it shall be astonished, and shall hiss at all the plagues thereof. So no one's gonna feel sorry for E as they're starting to go down. Except maybe Eve, the so-called black woman here in America, who's so in love with her slave master that destroyed her family, destroyed her, and destroyed her men. You know, that they've been willful bedwenches to them and enjoy, like the one woman that told my wife how she enjoyed her white privilege. All right. Or her husband's white privilege, till it didn't work for her no more. All right. And shall hiss at all her plagues thereof, at all the plagues thereof, and as the overthrow of Sodom and Gomorrah and the neighbor cities, because it was 5 cities in total, and the neighbor cities thereof, saith Yahweh, no man shall abide there, neither shall a son of man dwell in it. So there's a great destruction that comes before, as this great insurrection and this horrible apocalyptic events are going to take here in America. After that, then it's going to get completely wiped off the face of the earth. Call halal Yahweh B'Shem Abashai B'Shem B'Karkwadash Wa Abba B'Bal Shalom.